On this day, April 1st, 2011, the House Republicans, in violation of the U.S. Constitution and Schoolhouse Rock, passed a bill that says if the House has not received a message from the Senate before April 6, 2011, stating that it has passed a measure providing for the appropriations for the departments and agencies of the government for the remainder of the fiscal year 2011, the provisions of H.R. 1, as passed by the House on February 19, 2011, are hereby enacted into law. The vote was 221 to 202. John Boehner would not be played a fool today. The Speaker did not vote, as is custom, his staff told us. And when we called the Speaker's office to ask why that phrase, hereby enacted into law, wasn't taken out of the bill, his office referred us to Majority Leader Eric Cantor's office. Cantor's staff told us on the record that the congressman is aware of the legislative process. Cantor's office also told us the point in passing this bill that will never become law, despite what it says, is to show that the House continues to act while the Senate does not. Acting on a constitutional absurdity was something 15 members of Eric Cantor's party could not abide. 15 Republicans voted no on the most constitutionally ludicrous thing ever put into legislative language in the House of Representatives. The Democrats could not believe their luck that the party that just took power in the House of Representatives, spouting reverence for the Constitution, voted in favor of the most blatantly unconstitutional thing that has ever been brought to a vote in Congress. This, after Republicans insisted that every bill brought to a vote in the Congress must cite its constitutional authority.
The House Republicans are bringing about a constitutional crisis on top of the funding crisis. This is our friend, a bill. For a bill to become a law, it needs to pass the House and the Senate before it goes to the President.
The House has no magic wand to do this all on its own. Perhaps at the start of the next Congress, we should show the Schoolhouse Rock video, "I'm Just a Bill," as a refresher on how a bill really becomes a law. It appears reading the Constitution on the floor hasn't stuck so well.
The rules are not a big thing for them to follow, because this is why it's hard. It's a big book. So I brought you this, House Mouse, Senate Mouse, which is sold in the gift shop to teach children how to understand the Constitution and permit me to read. It's the floor of each chamber, the Senate and House, where each senator and each Congress mouse gets to vote on the bill. And if enough do, this president signs it if he likes to. Perhaps if this were the rules that the Republicans had to follow, it's a much thinner book and it rhymes, maybe you'd get it right.
Congressman Peter DeFazio theorized that the Republican freshmen were being sent on a fool's errand.
Let's keep the Republican freshmen busy while behind closed doors your speaker's cutting a deal. Things haven't changed around here all that much. And you're down here pretending that somehow we have become the omnipotent, unicameral legislature and the rulers of America. Let's kind of think this through. We can pass a bill here, it becomes a law. Now, in the last Congress, the House passed 300 bills that never came up in the Senate. Are those all laws today? Boy, we got some catching up to do here. There were a lot of good bills that died in the Senate. 300 laws. Great.
Joining me now is a Republican who voted yes on this, the most absurd bill to come before the Congress, Paul Broun, who represents the 10th District of Georgia. Thanks for joining us tonight, Congressman.
Thanks for having me tonight, Lawrence. Glad to be here with you.
Congressman, how embarrassed are you to have voted for a bill that says that it can enact a law by only being voted on by the House of Representatives? It's got to be your most embarrassing day since you took your oath of office.
Well, Lawrence, I'm not embarrassed at all. In fact, I'm an original intent constitutionalist. I believe in the Constitution as our founding fathers meant it to be. I believe that the federal government should only be doing the 18 things that Article 1, Section 8 gives us the authority to do. But you're missing the point. The point is that the leadership in the U.S. Senate is going to shut the government down, and they've been planning, I believe, on doing so since back last year during the lame duck session. I believe they set out this plan to shut the government down. They saw our Republican pledge to America, where we pledged to cut $100 billion over the next year. And so they said, aha, this is the way we can get Barack Obama reelected. This is the way we can get Nancy Pelosi back in the Speaker's chair. This is how we can give a big majority to Harry Reid so they can continue to force down the throats of the American people their big government, central control from Washington, D.C., type of government that we saw during the first 2 years of the Obama presidency. So I believe very firmly that they have this plan. They're putting the plan in place. It's a diabolical plan that they're going to shut the government down, all for political purposes. And it's totally wrong, and the American people need to understand that.
Congressman, I didn't want to interrupt your anti-big government speech, which was filled with a lot of words that had nothing to do with what I asked you about. And I'm just going to ask you one more time, and I don't expect you to answer it. I guess you're going to just do the spin thing. You said you're an original intent constitutionalist, a word-for-word constitutionalist.
That's correct.
That nowhere in the Constitution does it say that the House of Representatives can pass a bill. And by the House of Representatives passing a bill, it is enacted into law. You know, as a constitutionalist, in fact, you know, as a high school graduate in America, you've known it for all of your adulthood and most of your childhood, that if the House of Representatives passes a bill, absolutely nothing has happened to law, and nothing can ever happen to law unless the United States Senate passes the identical bill word for word, and unless that identical bill is signed by the President of the United States. You know that, and I know you're embarrassed to have voted for this absolutely crazy, unconstitutional cartoon of legislation today. But go ahead. Tell me why you held up your oath of original intent to the Constitution by voting for this lie and this unconstitutional bill.
Well, you and I both know that this bill will not become law, and
right.
It cannot.
But
the
it
thing
says
is,
it
wait
will.
a minute.
But it says it will.
Well,
that's
I know, but that's not the point. The point is, we in the U.S. House of Representatives are trying to cut the spending that the federal government's been doing. It's absolutely critical.
I know you're trying to cut spending, and I know you're going to vote for something else that cuts spending at some point in time. There'll be a real bill. I got to tell you, it's really funny for us to watch you guys talk about your original intent, constitutional interpretations, and do something like this. It's the craziest thing the House of Representatives has ever voted on. Congressman,
Lawrence, you just missing the point. You're missing the point. Well, you're just missing the point.
We got to go.
We've got to stop this outrageous spending. We're in an economic emergency.
We're talking about the Constitution. We'll come back and talk about the Constitution. Congressman Paul Broun of Georgia, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Okay.